Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Alpha Flight Monday last week. Alpha Flight number 3. Alpha Flight is investigating the disappearance of Marina, and they wind up in this alien complex in the Arctic. And they're fighting their way through. Well, Marina is informed by the master of the world, or would-be master of the world, that she and her broodmate, whoever that might be, must be destroyed so that humanity can live, so that the master can rule them. And they are then interrupted, not by Alpha Flight, but by... Oops, let's get to it. By the Submariner and Invisible Girl. Oh, they hadn't made her Invisible Woman yet. Well, that was coming. And it says that you want to pick up Fantastic Four number 260 on sale in 30 days and then come back to see how this one turns out. Well, I am here to tell you that you do not need Fantastic Four number 260 for this story. Now, Fantastic Four number 260 is, in fact, an awesome comic. So they're doing a little bit of a cross-promotion here. But in number 260, you get, three members of the Fantastic Four, Human Torch, Thing, and Invisible Girl, going up against Terrax. Silver Surfer shows up, takes it up a notch. Doctor Doom is involved and apparently destroyed. And when Sue comes back to the headquarters afterwards, Reed is nowhere to be found. Now, that's because Reed had been stolen by aliens to be put on trial for not destroying Galactus. Big happenings in the Marvel Universe. But while she is there, the Silver Surfer, the Submariner shows up. He had been following Atlantean barbarians to the Arctic, and the waters there had weakened him, and so he comes back to find her, to get help. And the story is then continued in Alpha Flight number 4. Awesome cover, as always. So, let us take a look at Alpha Flight number 4. Resolutions. Okay. John Byrne, writer-artist. Rick Parker, letterer. Andy Yankus, colorist. Denny O'Neil, editor. Jim Shooter, Resolver. Is that what it says? Or Resolved? And this is from November of 1983. So we're getting into Thanksgiving time. And so we open with Sue Storm, the Invisible Girl, soon to be Invisible Woman. I mean, she had a kid at this point, so, probably should have been Invisible Woman anyways. And what does she have to say? Explain it to me again, Namor. Why am I chasing all over the North Pole with you when I should be home trying to contact my husband and tending to the Silver Surfer? Icy words whip past her. Oh, God, I'm doing great. It's because if I put more light on, it's difficult for the camera to focus. But then without that extra light, me reading these is getting a little tricky because I didn't remember to bring my bifocals home with me when I went on vacation from work. Hey, this is all information you just don't need. Icy winds whip past her at more than 40 miles an hour. It is summer in the Arctic, but even through her insulated costume, the cold stabs at Susan Storm Richards, the Invisible Girl. No, readers, John hasn't confused Alpha Flight with the Fantastic Four. Bear with us. Obviously, Byrne was doing both books at the time. And so, the Submariner explains what's going on, and that's to catch everybody else back up on this stuff. They want to investigate what it was that he encountered, and they find this complex. And they pick up an energy reading, which then results in some kind of a laser being aimed at the Fantasticar. And we get a Solar Fox ad. And noticing that explosion in the sky is Snowbird, who has taken the form of a polar bear to investigate this herself. She then takes her normal form. There is much wrong here, great evil in this place, ancient evil. That explosion occurred not far from the wrecked Alpha Flight skyship I found not an hour ago. It is logical to assume the two events are in some way connected, but it is not now the time to investigate either. I sense my fellow members of Alpha are somewhere ahead, and though the evil in this place threatens to smother my mystical senses and overwhelm me, I must join them. And now we get back to Alpha Flight. Now, Alpha had been going through this complex, and Aurora had been sort of trapped by these rods, and coming out of it, she went back to her Jean-Marie persona, who does not like her Aurora persona, and who is not super powered. And so they're in the middle of this very dangerous complex, and one of their allies is now no longer a superhero, so to speak, even though she would probably retain her powers. So obviously Guardian and Sasquatch are in a bad place. So he sends Guardian. Sasquatch tells Guardian, go after North Star. And he reverts back to his Walter Lankowski form to go after Aurora, or we should maybe say Jean-Marie. Ah, there you are. Don't be afraid, Jean-Marie. You remember me, don't you? I'd never hurt you, would I? That is not for me to say, monsieur. I am not in the habit of associating with naked men. Incredible. A totally separate personality. Even her accent has changed, as if she's having trouble with English. I'm hardly naked, Jean-Marie. In fact, there are beaches in this country where I'd be considered overdressed. Now, please, come with me. We must get back to the others. Do not touch me. I don't want to see the others. I want to know where I am and why I am here. Jean-Marie, please, you must listen to me. So he's trying to calm her down, and you can see that he's extremely successful at it. When he touches her, that really sets her off. And meanwhile, North Star is buzzing around trying to find his sister, and he finally runs into Guardian. And Guardian fills him in. And so off they go. And he also lets him know that this is he goes, well, let's see. I use the cybernetic circuitry in my supersuit to tap into the internal systems of this complex. It speaks some incomprehensible gobbledygook, but I was able to pinpoint all our locations and find you. All of us? Then you know where my sister is. You can help me find her. I could, but I think there are more pressing matters for us to attend to just now, North Star. Aurora is safe with Sasquatch right now, but unless we act, she won't be safe for long. None of us will, unless we move quickly. You speak in riddles, Guardian. What are you talking about? I'm talking about what I think I've discovered to be the purpose of this complex, and unless we shut it down, it will mean the extermination of all life on Earth. So no big deal. So Submariner and Invisible Girl escape the destruction of the Fantasticar. They hit the ground and obviously are going to investigate themselves. So they go underwater. She has her, invisible force bubble around herself. And they enter this complex from below. This is some really great art, great design from Byrne. And so sneaking into the complex, Sue makes them invisible, and they soon find the Master. You continue to resist my power, little Marina, even though I have told you to do so is useless. Why? Why do you torture me? You told me this ship did the same to you 40,000 years ago. Why do you inflict such agony on another living being? Marina, I have told you who I am, how I came to be the master of this, your ship. Why do you insist on pretending not to know the purpose of this place? Let me demonstrate the futility of this. Let me prove to you I already know what you seek to keep concealed from me. So he clearly thinks that Marina is aware of this spaceship and what it's for. She's aware of her history, and she is not. But thankfully, he's now going to explain it to us. It involves a dying planet, and they send out these ships to be colonized. And we got a little Popeye ad here. You can't be wimpy if you wants to play Popeye. And so they send these things out everywhere. And so she's the result of this. Her egg is from one of these alien things. And there's sort of a genetic programming involved, which is why she takes the form that she takes. And he says, and in the instant that small, undefined creature made contact with human cells, it adapted itself, mimicking the form and functions of a human female. But a random element had been introduced. For 40,000 years, the egg had drifted across the ocean's vast and shifting floor. To survive all those centuries, the egg became water permeable, and the monster in it became amphibious. That monster, Marina, was you. Of all the millions of eggs launched 400 centuries ago, it seems that only yours survived, damaged though it was. But your programming was not damaged, Marina. You are still a brood female, and your purpose is still to colonize this world. No, no, I know nothing of what you say. Please, I am no alien monster. I am human. Human! No, you are not, little Marina. If that were true, I could not have summoned you here, nor would you have attacked and nearly killed a human upon receiving that call. That was in issue number 2, which was Puck, being the human she killed, or almost killed. And now, in order that I may assume my rightful position as master of the world, the time has come for you to die. What? Hold, master. Namor of Atlantis forbids this action. You've got a lot more explaining to do than that, sci-fi opus. A lot more. Extra spending money from Grit. And so, obviously, we get a bit of a battle here between Submariner, Invisible Girl, and the Master. He kind of sinks into the ground and tries to more or less tear her apart. Meanwhile, some looks like mosquitoes come through a duct, and they are actually Snowbird, having taken the form of a swarm of mosquitoes. And Snowbird rescues Marina from these clutches and takes her in her arms. Snowbird! Then Alpha Flight is involved in this. Susan Richards and Prince Namor. You take me quite by surprise. Indeed, my fellow Alphans, here says Alphas, are involved. Are the rest of the Fantastic Four with you? Questions later, Sue responds. Help us smash these grabbers. We have to go after the Master. And nearly 10 miles away, so he's already 10 miles away, through the tunnels of this massive complex. Which begs the question, why did nobody ever find it before? I mean, at a minimum, it's in the Arctic, so Santa Claus probably should have run into it. And so, boom, in come Alpha, the rest of Alpha Flight. They sort of now hook up with all these guys. They share information with each other. So we have to find the Master. He must be the other life form I've been scanning. He's quite a ways off, and I think we just ran out of time to look for him. It sounds like all the damage we've been doing is caught up with us. The Mighty Thor Unleashed. Story and art by Walt Simonson. Oh, love that Thor. And here we go. Oh, this is a nice page. Look at that. You have the ice, and it starts to crack, and kablooey. And now it's just all shards, and then the water. So obviously with that explosion, Namor, Sue Richards, and Alpha Flight are all killed. And that's the end of the comic book. Hey, take a look. What do we got here? The Mighty Marvel Checklist. Thing, Daredevil, New Mutants, Dazzler, King Conan, Return of the Jedi #2 limited series, Falcon limited series going on. Man, they had a big roster of books going at the time. Rom is still with us. Cloak and Dagger, I dig those. Defenders. Defenders is about to become the new Defenders. That's just around the corner. A couple annuals, Iron Man and Thor. And the Marvel Mags, Savage Sword of Conan. Oh, awesome stuff. Okay. And we got some Return of the Jedi models. Hey, look at that. They were not, in fact, killed. They are protected by Sue Storm's force bubble. Son of a gun, we made it. Susan, quickly, open your force field bubble. Done, Namor, but the master, Susan. There is a chance he survived, as we did. I must search for a trace of him. Submariner, wait, let me come with you. And so Marina is going to go off with him to check. They apparently don't find anything. And so they're going to head back home. And so while they were searching, they obviously were talking. I have invited Marina to come and dwell for a time in Atlantis, and she has agreed. So Marina is going to go off with the Submariner. The rest of Alpha heads back home. And Hudson goes then to Marina's family to let them know. And to let her fiance know that she's hanging out with the half-naked prince. And so this begins a storyline now that's going to involve the Submariner quite a bit as he and Marina develop a relationship. And of course, ultimately will bring the Avengers into things. We'll get there in due time. But these books really do highlight the value of a shared universe for comic books. And Marvel at the time really took advantage of it to have their characters interacting. It's why, to me, the major crossover events they used to do, which were obviously designed in part to get you to try out books that you hadn't read before, were kind of silly, because if you were doing the shared universe right, you were already there. You didn't really need to do that. You were already crossing the characters over quite a bit. I mean, in 4 issues, Alpha Flight has crossed over in one way or another with the X-Men, with the Fantastic Four. We have a member of the Avengers in there now. So, I mean, it's like there's already a lot of crossover going on. And that did indeed help, I believe, sell the books. I mean, I know it did for me, that you kind of go, oh, who are these guys? I got to check this book out now. And you'd read it, and then you'd, stay with it and never leave. Well, anyways, so that's the end of Alpha Flight number 4. Coming up next week, believe it or not, is Alpha Flight number 5. And now, Puck. And Puck is very hairy, and so they made the little letters that spell Puck very hairy, which feels like something out of a Freak Brothers comic, but there it is. Puck, probably my favorite character in Alpha Flight. He's pretty rad, honestly. And you'll notice Puck starts up here. He jumps out of the little corner box. And so we're finally going to learn a little bit more about Puck than we have up to this point. And he is going to become, like I say, kind of the heart and soul of Alpha Flight. The same way Ben Grimm is the heart and soul, well, really in a way of the Marvel Universe, but certainly of the Fantastic Four. Puck's going to be very important. So let's end it there, boys and girls. Another Alpha Monday, another issue of Alpha Flight. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like. That helps me with the YouTube channel. Maybe think about subscribing, and maybe share with a friend, especially if they are a fan of Alpha Flight and would like to relive some of these stories. Or maybe, maybe they're just a Canadian comic book fan who somehow doesn't know that Alpha Flight exists. Either way, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another and try to have some fun. And I will see you next time in Dad's Den of Pop Culture.